Shalltear Bloodfallen. Shalltear is a true vampire and the floor guardian of the first to third floors of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. She was created by Peroronchino, one of Ainz Ooal Gown's supreme beings, famous for his love of H-games. Peroronchino was very open about it, to the point that everyone in the guild knew his passion for this hobby. Basically, that obsession shaped Shalltear herself. Shalltear's design took inspiration from all sorts of characters Peroronchino liked, and he even wanted her to wear his preferred outfits, such as swimsuits and bunny clothes. According to the author, Kugano Maruyama, Shalltear's settings are absolutely dripping with H-game flavor, complicated, wide-ranging preferences, and all. Originally, Peroronchino wanted Shalltear to be a flat-chested vampire, but the illustrator he asked for help hated these kinds of characters, and drew her with a bigger chest instead. Since it was done as a favor, Peroronchino couldn't ask for a retake, so he just edited her lore, making Shalltear secretly flat-chested and stuffing her pads to hide it. This detail became a running gag in Nazarick, with Albedo constantly teasing Shalltear about it, with these two competing to be Ainz's #1 wife. Or it can be seen brutally teasing Shalltear's body too, since she was created by Peroronchino's sister, Buku Buku Chigama. Interestingly, the relationship between Shalltear and Aura was literally programmed as a sibling-like rivalry. Personality-wise, Shalltear is extremely flirty. Since she's a necrophiliac by design, she has a twisted sense of love, showing attraction to the undead. For that reason, Shalltear tends to make advances towards Yuri Alpha, while Albedo was coded to love Ainz because of an edit Ainz made to her character settings. Shalltear's feelings come from her own nature. When Shalltear takes on her true vampire form, her body transforms completely. Her mouth becomes a circular lamprey-like maw with a very long tongue hanging out. The shape of her eyes becomes inhuman, and they glow brightly. Her body turns beast-like, with deadly claws and a terrifying aura. In essence, vampires are a species which could drain a victim's blood and turn them into perfectly loyal minions. Most vampires could only create unintelligent, lesser vampires in this way, but the vampires under Shalltear's control can drain blood and even turn victims into loyal servants with near-human intelligence. In terms of power, Shalltear is one of the strongest guardians in Nazarick, second only to Gargantua in raw strength. One would need the team members selected by Albedo to be absolutely certain of defeating Shalltear, or else they would have a very hard time. Not even Albedo or anybody among the other level 100 NPCs is capable of facing her. That said, if the other guardians attacked in large numbers, victory would be assured. Shalltear is built as a perfect hybrid of a divine magic caster and melee fighter, with her Valkyrie class giving her incredible fighting power. Her weapon, the Spirit Lance, is a divine class item, something even many level 100 players in Yggdrasil never owned. It lets her absorb HP from her enemies with every hit, using it to replenish her own health. Her armor is legendary class and is so strong that only a divine tier weapon like Takamikazuki MK8 could slice through it. After being brainwashed by the downfall of Castle and Country, Ainz gave Shalltear a world item that once belonged to Oriole Omega, to protect her from the effects of the other world items. Shalltear's overall build was designed to counter Ainz himself. Her holy and necromantic magic as a divine magic caster can devastate the undead, while she's also fast and lethal in close combat. Ainz could not even use his specialty against Shalltear. Since she can cast spells that are effective against undead, in a one-on-one fight, she's a nightmare for Ainz. One of her biggest penalties is Blood Frenzy. In Yggdrasil, strong classes were typically balanced out with weaknesses and penalties. The more blood that covers Shalltear, the stronger she becomes, but she loses control completely, attacking everything in sight. To avoid activating it, Shalltear needs to fight without getting hit by blood and instead absorb it through her weapon or equipment. Her most effective role in battle is to exhaust the enemy's resources. Once deployed, she's best left to rampage freely through enemy lines. In Yggdrasil, Blood Frenzy wasn't a big deal, but in the New World, where she gained consciousness, it's a real problem. Her trump card is Ainz Ooal, which summons a clone of herself that fights in melee. Although it lacked Shalltear's spellcasting ability, several of her skills and any magic items, its weapons, armor, and stats were otherwise identical to hers. It wasn't undead, but a golem-like construct, though both types shared nearly the same resistances and immunities. With Summon Household, Shalltear can summon minions like wolves, bats, and rats, using them as distractions or sacrifices. Shalltear can farm these summoned minions with the Spirit Lance to restore her health. Naturally, the amount of HP recovered depends on how much damage the weapon inflicts. So when she attacked both Ainz, who was her equal in level and had high defense, and her weaker summons, it was easy to tell which target would heal her more. Another of her unique possessions is a class called Blood Drinker, and one of its skills is Blood Pool. This orb of enchanted blood could store the blood of her victims for various uses. It could also extract mana from the stored blood, allowing her to use skills that enhanced her spells without consuming additional MP. With Purifying Javelin, she can hurl a massive holy element lance that tracks its targets with perfect accuracy. Even though she's technically evil aligned, it still burns her enemies with holy damage. With Shalltear's Cursed Knight class, the javelin could also inflict a curse on whoever it struck, causing their wounds to heal slowly. This was the skill she used right before she was brainwashed by the downfall of Castle and Country. Shalltear is also an advanced spellcaster capable of tier magic like Gate, Mass Hold Species, Summon Monster 10th, Implosion, Vermilion Nova, Time Accelerator, Impure Shockwave Shield, and more. Interestingly, Shalltear is the NPC Ainz knows best. Well, aside from his black history named Pandora's Actor. This is because Peroronchino told Ainz so much about Shalltear during the creation process. Ainz used all that knowledge when he fought her under mind control, but Peroronchino had left her one last surprise. Basically, he gave Shalltear a hidden resurrection item that could counter Ainz's own ultimate skill. The goal of all life is death. Gargantua. Gargantua is the 4th floor guardian of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. But unlike the other guardians, Gargantua isn't a custom-made NPC. It's actually a bonus reward that Ainz Ooal Gown won from a Yggdrasil quest. In other words, Gargantua wasn't programmed by any of the Supreme Beings. It was created by the game's own system, basically making it a golem built under Yggdrasil's rules. When asked whether Gargantua was a gift from the game developers, or if it had been in Nazarick since the guild's founding, Maruyama simply replied that it wasn't the first option. Technically, Gargantua shouldn't even count as a guardian. Its guardian title is just a text tag, and it only got the position because the guild members decided to assign it that role. Normally, Gargantua would have been used for large-scale sieges, not base defense. But since Nazarick had storage issues, the guild decided to keep the massive golem submerged in the underground lake of the 4th floor. Also known as the Strategic Siege Golem, Gargantua itself is an ultra-large stone golem standing over 30 meters tall. Zarius describes it as a massive statue hewn of stone, with a pair of arms and legs, a slab-like chest glowing with red light like a heartbeat, thick and stubby limbs, and an oddly cute look, if you ignore the fact it's the size of a building. Since it's a mindless construct, Gargantua has no personality or will of its own. It only moves when Ainz commands it. The reason it wasn't present during the first Guardian meeting in the New World is that Albedo didn't have the authority to activate it. The same situation applies to another Guardian later on. According to Maruyama, before Gargantua's creation, there was no floor Guardian assigned to the underground lake. Since Gargantua lacks a mind of its own, the area Guardians on the 4th floor don't report their concerns to it. Instead, they deliver them directly to Ainz. When Ainz finally deployed it, Gargantua lived up to its name. During the Lizardman arc, Ainz used it to intimidate the tribes by having it throw a massive boulder onto the frozen lake. After completing its task, Gargantua disappeared instantly, presumably returning to Nazarick. Although Shalltear is regarded as the strongest floor guardian, Gargantua surpasses most NPCs in terms of raw physical power. Cocytus. Cocytus is the floor guardian of the 5th floor, known as the ruler of glaciers. He was created by the player warrior Takamikazuki, one of the founders of Nine's Own Goal, the clan that later disbanded to form Ainz Ooal Gown. Just like his creator, Cocytus is a proud warrior who deeply respects anyone with a warrior spirit. He sees himself as a sword, one that exists only to be wielded by his master. That's why when Ainz ordered him not to interfere in the Shalltear fight, Cocytus didn't hesitate to obey, despite the high possibility of Shalltear obliterating Ainz. As a floor guardian, Cocytus is in charge of Nazarick's martial defense. Cocytus has the appearance of a two-legged insect, standing around 2.5 meters tall. With looks comparable to an ant or mantis, his diamond-like exoskeleton glows with a freezing mist, and his body is built like a hybrid monster. Cocytus has 4 arms tipped with sharp claws, a spiked tail, and wears rings, amulets, and armor-like plating that shines like ice. Its mighty jaws looked like they could easily bite a man's hands clean off. Anyone standing too close to him would literally feel the temperature drop. His cold aura can cause frostbite if you don't have resistance. In comparison, its coldness was just as intense as the heat radiating from the primal fire elemental. Interestingly, Cocytus' exoskeleton actually serves as his armor, which can be further enhanced as his level increases or through the use of data crystals. In Yggdrasil, that's what's called a natural weapon, much like Shalltear's nail and teeth. Although it's not as good as divine class gear used by players, it's incredibly useful for NPCs like Cocytus. Moreover, it can't be dropped upon death. It self-repairs when his HP recovers, and it's fire resistant. As a member of the insect race, Cocytus possessed compound eyes that gave him a wide field of vision. His equipment provided resistance to fear and mind-affecting effects from external sources, as well as protection against long-range attacks. When it comes to combat, Cocytus is a weapon master. Thanks to his forearms, he can wield up to 21 different weapons, including his main sword, the God-slaying Emperor Blade, a farewell gift from Takamikazuki himself before he quit Yggdrasil. The gold-slaying Emperor Blade is an enormous odachi with a 180cm blade that can slice through even the toughest armor without dulling. It was the sharpest of the 21 weapons which Cocytus possessed. Cocytus also carries a halberd called Decapitation Fang, and an unnamed world item given by Ainz for protection against other world item users. Cocytus can use several ice-based abilities. His signature skill, Frost Aura, comes from his Knight of Niflheim class and allows him to damage and slow enemies with freezing air. At full power, it could even freeze nearby onlookers, but during the Lizardman War, he held back to avoid eliminating them for good. He can also cast Ice Pillar, which summons massive columns of ice to block or trap his enemies. And if someone tries to attack him from behind, he just swings his tail like a baseball bat, sending them flying, something Zaryus learned firsthand. In Nazarick, Cocytus is known for his unmatched weapon abilities. Among all weapon users, his attacks were considered the most powerful. He basically has the strongest defense among melee fighters. Albedo has the best defense. Sebas is overall stronger in close combat, and there's one more who surpasses them all. Despite his intimidating look, Cocytus has a gentle side, especially to warriors like Brain Unglaus and the Lizardmen. After the Lizardmen War, he became their leader, helping them grow stronger. There's also a funny moment where Cocytus insists on being used as a seat to atone for his failure. Ainz, confused, starts wondering if Cocytus' species has weird mating customs, or if Takamikazuki had a strange, wide range of preferences when designing him. But Ainz quickly shakes off the thought, knowing his friend was just a battle-loving guy, not a perv. Or at least Ainz hopes so. In the light novel, Cocytus also once dreamed about Ainz having an heir, despite initially hating the thought. Demiurge. Demiurge is the guardian of Nazarick's 7th floor and the commander of all NPC defenses. Basically, while every floor guardian runs their own floor, Demiurge has a position above them as the strategist and military coordinator, and everyone shares information with him. He's also second in command right after Albedo. Demiurge was created by Ulbert Elaine Odell, who also designed the 7th floor specifically for him. That floor is a ruined wasteland filled with secrets Ulbert hid himself, representing everything he desired. Ulbert made 7 demons to serve under Demiurge. Though he planned 12, he stopped halfway and left the rest unfinished. Here's the thing about Demiurge. You see, he's one of the most intelligent beings in Nazarick. Even Ainz admits nobody in Nazarick can match his intellect. The funny part is that Demiurge genuinely believes Ainz is way smarter than him. Whenever Ainz says something vague or random, Demiurge assumes there's a deep hidden meaning behind it and overanalyzes it to death, while Ainz just sweats under his helmet, hoping Demiurge doesn't realize he's bluffing. As a demonic imp, Demiurge is cruel and cunning, but only toward outsiders. To NPCs of Nazarick, he's loyal and respectful, and treats them as his comrades. For example, he once considered giving the innocent Mare some adult knowledge, but quickly abandoned that idea. Obviously, Demiurge takes joy in tormenting enemies, often running experiments on captured humans just for amusement. This behavior was intentionally programmed into him by Ulbert. Because of that, he eagerly conducts magical experiments on the prisoners sent to him, treating them as nothing more than playthings. In the light novel, he ordered Pulcinella to do the skinning work for him, though he regretted not doing it himself. When he transforms into his half-demon form, Demiurge sprouts massive black wings and gains a frog-like face. Generally, some heteromorphic creatures in Yggdrasil had multiple forms. In Nazarick, both Sebas and Albedo possessed alternate forms as well. These beings were weaker in their human or demi-human forms, but became far more powerful when they revealed their true monstrous selves. Demiurge's passive skill is called Command Mantra, which lets him dominate weak minds with just his words. Although this skill has no effect on high-level Floor Guardians, anyone under level 40 can instantly turn into a puppet obeying his commands. In terms of combat, Demiurge himself admits to being a jack of all trades, which makes him unsure if he could work well with the command-oriented aura. While his raw physical abilities are average compared to warrior-type guardians like Cocytus or Albedo, they still far surpass most opponents in the New World. He relies less on brute strength and more on a wide range of special abilities, spells, and transformations. His fighting style is best described as that of a trickster, overwhelming enemies through strategy and deception. Interestingly, Demiurge believes he would be most effective when partnered with Cocytus. But as he once said, even if he couldn't get along with any of the Floor Guardians, he would adapt to match their abilities if Ainz commanded it. Even though he's naturally incompatible with Sebas, he would never act against Ainz Summer's will. The reason Demiurge often clashes with Sebas comes down to their creators. Ulbert had a complicated relationship with Touch Me. Although Ulbert admitted that his dislike stemmed partly from jealousy, he couldn't stand Touch Me's attitude or decisions. After losing a close in-game friend because of what Touch Me did, Ulbert could never truly forgive him. His bitterness basically came from his real-life struggles. Touch Me was a well-off winner in the world of 2138. He was a wealthy man in real life and was happily married to his beautiful childhood friend, while Ulbert lived outside the arcologies, struggling with bad luck and having lost both parents to harsh working conditions. For context, the world of 2138 is a dystopian, futuristic world where Ainz and the other supreme beings originally lived. If you want to learn more about that world, check out this video where we reveal everything we know about the world of 2138. In terms of magic, Demiurge can cast up to 10th tier spells, including Meteor Fall, a spell that literally cools down a meteor to flatten everything. He also uses Flames of Gehenna, which surrounds the area in illusory fire that buffs demons' attributes, and 7th tier spells like Hellfire Wall and Greater Teleportation. Known as the creator of Blazing Inferno, Demiurge doesn't rely solely on magic. His main strength lies in his signature ability, Aspect of the Devil, which allows him to transform his body in countless ways. He can summon a mantle of fire that explodes in a powerful shockwave, enlarge his wrist into a crushing weapon, or extend his claws over 80 centimeters, sharp enough to slice through nearly anything. Additionally, he can form tentacle-like wings that fire projectiles strong enough to punch through steel, or swell his arms into big, muscled weapons. In some forms, he grows spider-like limbs to move at incredible speed, making him as terrifying in close combat as he is from a distance. Ulbert gave Demiurge the item Armageddon Evil, which can summon entire armies of demons. Ainz later passed him the prototype version of it. In Nazarick, Demiurge oversees military planning, national intelligence, and even economic policy for the Sorcerer Kingdom. Basically, if Ainz needs something done efficiently and quietly, Demiurge is the one running it behind the scenes. While it's true that Albedo excelled at managing Nazarick and even surpassed Demiurge in that area, she wasn't as skilled when it came to defense and military administration. In those matters, she often relied on Demiurge's help. In the New World, Demiurge became infamous as Albedo, a fake identity he used during Operation Gehenna. Under that disguise, he attacked the Riesti's kingdom. His plan not only destabilized the kingdom, but also turned Momen into a national hero. The entire operation in the warehouse district had several objectives. One of them is to establish Albedo's identity as a villain by abducting humans and bringing them into Nazarick, using this incident as a testing ground for future large-scale operations in the Holy Kingdom. As planned, Demiurge led an army of 18 demi-human tribes in the Holy Kingdom War, summoning Evil Lord Wrath to act as Albedo in his place. When Mariyama was asked what Demiurge would do if Ulbert ordered him to eliminate Ainz, he said that the current Demiurge would first gather all the NPCs in the throne room, then challenge Ainz to a one-on-one fight himself. Victim. Victim is the floor guardian of the 8th floor. He belongs to the angel race, and speaks in Enochian, the language of angels. No one can really understand what he's saying directly, but thanks to some sort of built-in translation magic, Ainz and the NPCs can still grasp what he means. Ainz once mentioned that even though the words were translated, the language itself felt strange to him. In the anime, however, Victim's speech was made normal, probably just so the audience could follow along easily. Victim lives on the Sephiroth Tree of Life, deep within the 8th floor. In the light novel, Ainz told him that if special circumstances arise, they may need to destroy him to keep the enemy from escaping. Even in that case, Ainz reminded Victim that the deed would not be done out of malice. Basically, Ainz only summoned Victim for one reason, which is to use his ability in case of an emergency to protect Nazarick and its guardians. Of course, Ainz also promised to resurrect him right after. For Victim, that was never a problem. According to him, the goal of his life is death, and that there's no greater joy than sacrificing himself for the Supreme Beings. That's why he's called the Sacrificial Fetus. While technically genderless, most refer to Victim as male. Ainz first mobilized him after Shalltear's revival. Before that, Ainz wasn't sure if NPCs could even be brought back in the new world, so he avoided using Victim's ability. Once he confirmed resurrection was possible, he finally felt safe to use it. Combat-wise, Victim isn't strong. He's not part of the 8th floor's main battle force, but his power is incredibly useful. Upon death, he can activate a powerful debuff skill that traps enemies in place. This one-time movement restriction ability costs him his life, making him the ultimate defensive sacrifice of Nazarick. Victim played a big role in stopping an invasion force of 1,500 players and NPCs that managed to reach Nazarick's 7th floor. According to Sebas, none of them ever made it to the 9th floor, where the Supreme Beings resided, meaning they were likely stopped on the 8th floor, either by Victim or Overlord. Aura Bella Fiora. Aura is one of the twin floor guardians of Nazarick's 6th floor. She's a dark elf and the older twin sister of Mare, Bello, Fiore. Both of them were created by the Supreme Being Buka Buka Chigama, who designed Aura to look like a boy and Mare to Crestros like a girl. As you can see, it's a bit of a creative sibling reversal, and that was all because Buka Buka Chigama believed that younger brothers should listen to their older sisters. Basically, Buka Buka Chigama wanted them to act like her version of a proper big sister-little brother duo, which is why Mare naturally follows Aura's lead in almost everything. Because Buka Buka Chigama was the older sister of Peroronchino, the creator of Shalltear, the two NPCs can be seen bickering like real siblings. Aura is Nazarick's ranger and beast tamer, which basically makes her the ultimate animal handler and scout. She specializes in tracking, ambushes, and guerrilla-style combat. To put it simply, hunting someone down in a forest is child's play to her. While someone like Lakrat might call himself a ranger, Aura's skill level is so much higher that it's not even close. If we're talking individual power, Aura is actually one of the weaker guardians. She ranks second from the bottom in terms of personal combat strength, and some area guardians are even stronger than her. However, Aura's power shines when she fights alongside her beasts. When she's in sync with her creatures, her overall combat power shoots way past anyone else's. Known as the skillful tamer with high competitive spirit, Aura can command hundreds of monsters with her strongest ones reaching around level 80. When she buffs them with her beast tamer skills, they can hit around level 90. Two of her favorite beasts are Fenrir, her divine beast, and Itzamna, named Quadrasil. In the light novel and anime, she even adds the frost dragon Heijinmal to her collection. She's got tons of other monsters too, such as Red One, a lion-like creature, Iris, a Godzilla-like beast, a basilisk, a Chiron, a monstrous frog named Gagapur, and even an Ankylorhynchus lord from the Great Forest of Ivasha. Basically, if it's rare or dangerous, Aura probably wants to tame it. When it comes to abilities, Aura can spot invisible enemies, hear sounds from long distances, and expand her vision up to 2 kilometers using her Sky Eye skill. She's also ridiculously fast and can pull off insane maneuvers in almost any terrain. Her jogging pace literally matches one of her beasts running at full speed. Thanks to her Hihiro Kane-plated shoes, she can sprint across the ground with bursts of sparks and dust flying everywhere. Aura also has unique breath-based skills that can influence emotions, like a passive skill. This grants her both buffing and debuffing effects. These abilities worked through her breath, affecting an area within several kilometers, some reaching up to 10. With the right skills activated, that range could expand to an enormous scale. Once activated, her recombined breath turned into an unnatural substance, escaping softly from between her pink lips. Normally, it only affects a small area around her, but she can extend its range to strike precise targets from 2 kilometers away if she wants. On top of that, Aura's stealth and detection skills are so refined that even her own beasts can't sense her when she hides. As for her weapons, Aura mainly uses a bow called To Your Heart, which fires lightning-fast arrows, and a whip named Queen. She also wears protective accessories, like necklaces and other enchanted items. The most broken item she carries is the world item Depiction of Nature and Society, a gift from Ainz himself. It lets her isolate entire spaces by turning reality into a painting, basically sealing opponents in a painted world. If you want the full breakdown of Depiction of Nature and Society, check out this video where we reveal everything we know about every world item in Overlord. As humanoids, Aura and Mare are among the few races in Nazarick that will age over time. In Yggdrasil, humanoids and demi-humans had set lifespans that allowed them to age and grow. Heteromorphic races, however, had no such limits and stopped aging after a certain point. Interestingly, Ainz once thought that both Aura and Mare are adorable now, and he imagines they'll grow into beautiful and handsome adults someday. Although she's loud and a bit bossy with Mare, Aura means well. While she teases Shalltear constantly, they're actually really close friends. Mare Bello Fiore. Mare is a dark elf and the other floor guardian of Nazarick's 6th floor. As Buka Chigama's creation, Mare's personality is the total opposite of Aura's. He's normally shy, timid, and soft-spoken. Because of Buka Chigama's preferences, Mare dresses like a girl and has a very feminine appearance. As Rintaro Okabe would say, he's a dude. In the light novel, Ainz asked him to switch to male clothes, worried that his usual outfit would make it hard for her to make friends in the Elf Kingdom. The reason Ainz gave was that it was needed for an infiltration mission. Mare only agreed because he thought Buka Chigama would understand or approve of it. However, because of his outfit, Demiurge believed that all boys should be dressed like him. Mare is someone who'd rather nap all day or read books from Nazarick's massive library, Ashurbanipal, than talk to others. While Aura's obsessed with taming beasts, Mare's passion lies in plants. He loves studying them and collecting new species whenever possible. Mare's interactions with Shalltear weren't as intense as Aura's. According to their backstory, Aura was created to have a poor relationship with Shalltear, but that trait didn't seem to apply to Mare. Ainz also treats both of them as his children, thinking of himself as their caretaker in Buka Chigama's absence. When visiting the Elf Kingdom, he even thought about letting Mare make friends his own age, or sending the twins to a dark elf school so they could grow up into kind adults. As for abilities, Mare is a druid, a spellcaster who controls nature and supports allies with buffs, stealth-enhancing magic and healing spells. He can produce simple stonework, manipulate the earth, weather, and even life itself. While Aura dominates in beast combat, Mare handles magic on a big scale. Shalltear described Mare as having the strongest area of effect spells in Nazarick, making him perfect for wiping out armies instead of fighting one-on-one. Known as the untrustworthy disciple of nature, Mare's earth-based magic is terrifying. He can cause earthquakes that destroy entire facilities, summon earth pillars with earth surge, and even cast Stream of Lava. He's also capable of Nature's Shelter, a 10th tier divine spell that creates a huge underground bunker with an endless sky illusion, something even Supreme Being Blue Planet could use. Additionally, Mare can cast resurrection spells like Phoenix Flame, which revives the dead and burns nearby enemies in a burst of mini AoE Holy Fire. This self-resurrection spell once protected her from Antoline's instant death spell through Sir Shanna's goal of all life is death. On top of that, Mare can use Petite Catastrophe, a spell so strong it surpasses even super tier magic. In the light novel, it's mentioned that within all of Nazarick, the only ones who might have a real chance of defeating Mare were Shalltear and Albedo. When he and Aura fought the primal fire elemental, they worked perfectly together. While Aura is up front, Mare is in the back, casting buffs and debuffs to weaken the enemy and protect her. Mare's staff, Shadow of Yggdrasil, is a divine weapon that boosts his magic and can also crush skulls if used physically. He wears dress armor from Yggdrasil and has items that protect him from mind-affecting magic. The twins even share an item that lets them communicate telepathically. Mare wears 2 mismatched gauntlets. These are the world items known as Avarice and Generosity, given to him by Ainz during the Shalltear mind control incident. Beyond spells, Mare commands 2 level 90 dragons that he and Aura tamed. These dragons could only be obtained through the cash gacha, and even then, at an extremely low drop rate, making them rare creatures. After the worker invasion, Ainz left 3 captured Dark Elf workers under Aura and Mare's care. The funny part is, those elves were so obsessed with them that they kept trying to take care of the twins instead, even insisting on dressing Mare themselves. Despite his power, Mare still gets nervous in dangerous situations. After the Nazarick invasion in which 1,500 intruders reached the 8th floor, both Aura and Mare died and had to be resurrected. Ever since then, Mare's been a little more fearful of invaders. When Ainz imagined Aura and Mare growing into attractive adults, he pictured men and women of all kinds confessing their love to them. Of course, since Ainz had never experienced anything like that himself, everything he imagined came purely from the TV shows he'd watched back in the world of 2138. Albedo. Albedo is the overseer of the Floor Guardians in the Great Tomb of Nazarick, ranking above all other NPCs. Basically, she's in charge of the other 7 Floor Guardians, managing Nazarick's defenses, operations, and internal affairs, and ensuring Nazarick runs smoothly while Ainz is away. Because of her position, she's permitted to stay in the throne room. Albedo was created by Tabula Smaragdina, along with her sisters Negredo and Rubedo. If Albedo represents Tabula's love for Gap Mo, Negredo embodies his love for horror. Before the game shut down, Ainz felt bad about her original character settings. Albedo is both a demonic imp and a succubus. Originally, she was programmed to be intensely affectionate, but Ainz's last-minute edit redirected all that passion towards him. Because of that one edit, Albedo is now obsessed with Ainz to a scary degree. She even makes a hug pillow of him, rolls around in her birthday suit in his bed to spread her scent, and even sews baby clothes for their quote-unquote future child. Of course, Demiurge has tried to tell her that Ainz is undead and probably doesn't need a bed, but when he saw how happy she was, he just let her be. Despite her obsessive love, she's also one of the most capable beings in Nazarick. As a level 100 NPC, Albedo has exceptional stats, high intelligence, and formidable magical defenses. She handles troop assignments, defenses, and overall management. While Demiurge surpasses her in strategy and Shalltear in battle, no one can rival her administrative ability. To Albedo, beheading inferior beings like humans was no different from trimming the leaves off a daikon. Like most NPCs in Nazarick, she saw humans as nothing more than lower life forms. However, Albedo acknowledges a few, like Princess Renna, for helping them bring about the downfall of the Riesti's kingdom. Outside her role as overseer, she surprisingly enjoys housework. Her feminine skills, particularly those pertaining to being a housewife, such as cleaning and sewing, are basically S tier. According to her, she can do all of it at a professional level. In battle, Albedo is an absolute tank. Her defense is the highest in all of Nazarick, especially when she wears her divine class armor, Hermes Trismegistus, a triple-layered full plate designed to repel physical and energy attacks. It can withstand fire, lightning, ice, and even super tier spells. Her unique skill allows her to transfer incoming damage to her armor up to 3 times a day. Once the armor breaks, she can still harden her body by transforming into her true form. The only downside is that the armor has low HP. Moreover, it specializes solely in physical defense with no other remarkable abilities. When facing Arzut in his Yggdrasil-powered suit, Albedo was able to deflect bullets back at him, damaging his weapon in the process. Additionally, Albedo is completely immune to various diseases, making her resistant to most forms of biological or magical infection. Albedo's sharp hearing allows her to catch the faint sounds of clashing metal mixed with the cries of fleeing enemies. But without any ranger or rogue-type skills, tracking them precisely was nearly impossible for her. Albedo's main weapon is a halberd that can change its size, called 3F, which she often uses instead of Ginnungagap. Ginnungagap is an extremely powerful world item that Tabula secretly gave to her. It has the ability to completely erase entire structures and areas from existence. Even though Tabula gave it to her without the guild's permission, Ainz didn't take it away because he wanted to respect his comrade's wishes. However, Ainz once banned her from taking Ginnungagap outside Nazarick. After Ainz crushed Foresight, Albedo proposed forming a special unit dedicated to searching for the supreme beings in the New World. She was worried that others like Hecaran might use information about the supreme beings to manipulate Nazarick's inhabitants. To prevent cases of an NPC losing control, such as Shalltear abandoning everything if she discovered that Peroronchina was alive, Albedo believed it would be best to create a team directly loyal to her. She would lead the secret unit herself, with Pandora's actor as her adjutant, and the rest of the members would be monsters. Albedo also requested command authority over Rubedo, Nazarick's strongest NPC, so she could include her in her dream team. Although Ainz initially refused, he eventually granted her permission. But, among all these Floor Guardians, who do you personally think is the strongest? Let's compare your answers in the comments. And if you want to see more Overlord explained, click the video on the screen before Nazarick closes its gates.